At 15, my classroom was a subway car. At 17, my dining room was a shelter. At 19, my address became Harvard University. I'm Liz Murray, and this is how I rewrote my destiny. The Bronx in the 1980s wasn't just a place, it was a sentence. In apartment 403, my earliest memories weren't of bedtime stories or family dinners. They were of watching my parents inject their dreams into their arms, leaving nothing but hollow hopes for their children. My mother Jean, once a brilliant student herself, danced with her demons in our tiny kitchen. My father was a brilliant man who could solve complex math problems in his head, but couldn't solve his own addiction. Between them they made $15,000 a year, most of which disappeared into their veins. At age 6, I learned to forge my mother's signature for welfare checks. By 8, I was an expert at making excuses for my parents. They're sick, I'd tell concerned neighbors, but in the Bronx, everyone was sick of something. Hunger was my constant companion, not the kind that a snack could satisfy, the kind that made you scrape mold off bread and pray it wouldn't make you sick. Our refrigerator was a prop, unplugged and empty, a metal coffin for our dying dreams. School became an abstract concept. How could I focus on algebra when I was calculating how many days we could stretch a loaf of bread? By 13, I had missed 84 days of school. The system labeled me at risk. But risk implies you have something to lose. Then came the night that changed everything. My mother, her health ravaged by HIV, was taken to hospital. The walls of our apartment seemed to close in. That night, I understood that rock bottom has a basement. My mother's death was both an end and a beginning. At her funeral, I made 2 discoveries. First, she was just 42, younger than most of my teachers. Second, among her possessions was her high school report card. Straight A's. Something snapped inside me. Not like a branch breaking, but like a seed cracking open. I looked at my life, homeless, hungry, barely educated, and saw it not as my destiny but as my starting point. I enrolled back in high school. During the day, I studied. At night, I slept on subway cars, friends' couches, and in stairwells. I did my homework under streetlights and studied for tests in public bathrooms. I didn't just attend school, I consumed it. 4 years of high school compressed into 2. While other students complained about homework, I saw each assignment as a brick in the foundation of my new life. My teachers became my allies. One stayed late to help me with calculus. Another let me use the school shower before class. They didn't just teach me subjects, they taught me to believe in possibilities. When I heard about the New York Times scholarship, I spent 3 days writing my essay in a public library. I wrote about hunger, not just for food, but for change, for education, for a future that didn't echo my past. The Harvard acceptance letter arrived at the homeless shelter. The same hands that once searched for food in dumpsters now held an invitation to one of the world's most prestigious universities. Walking through Harvard Yard that first day, I felt like an imposter. But then I realized, every step that brought me here was real. Every night on the subway, every missed meal, every hour of study had earned me this moment. The girl from the Bronx, who once had no address, was now living in a dorm room older than her home country. The universe has a sense of irony, but it also rewards persistence. Today, I share my story, not for sympathy, but as proof that your circumstances are not your conclusions. Every person who's ever felt trapped by their situation, listen closely. The only person who can decide your worth is you. Success isn't about where you start, it's about how hard you're willing to fight for where you want to go. If this story moved you, hit the subscribe button and share it with someone who needs inspiration today. Remember, it's never too late to change your story.